My son Michael, an ER doctor, called me at 9:30 on a Wednesday night. I was folding laundry in the guest room while Catherine, my daughter-in-law, was downstairs helping my granddaughter Emma with her homework. "Mom, I need you to do something for me." His voice sounded strange, tight with tension. "Of course. Honey, what is it? Is Catherine at the house with you?" I paused, a towel halfway to the basket. "Yes, she's downstairs with Emma." "Why?" There was a long silence. Too long. "Michael? That's impossible." His voice dropped to almost a whisper. "I'm looking at a patient right now who looks exactly like Catherine. Same face, same hair, even the same birthmark on her left wrist." "Mom, I mean exactly. Like looking in a mirror." My hands went cold. "What are you talking about?" "Catherine is right here. I can hear her voice downstairs." "Then who is this woman on my exam table?" I heard Catherine's laugh drift up from the living room, warm and familiar. Emma giggled in response. Everything seemed normal, ordinary. Wednesday night homework, the smell of the chicken casserole I'd made for dinner still lingering in the air. "Michael, you must be mistaken. People can look similar." "Mom." His voice was sharp now, the way it got when he was certain about a diagnosis. "This woman has the same surgical scar on her right knee from Catherine's skiing accident. The same one. In the exact same place." I sat down heavily on the bed. My nursing instinct kicked in, the one that had served me for 35 years before I retired. When something doesn't add up, investigate. "What's the patient there for?" "Panic attack. She came in hyperventilating, saying someone was trying to hurt her. She won't give us a name, just keeps crying. But Mom, it's her face. It's Catherine's face." "I'll call you back." I walked to the top of the stairs, moving quietly. Below, I could see into the living room. Catherine sat on the couch, Emma beside her with a math workbook open on her lap. Everything looked normal. Everything looked right. Except, I stood there, watching, and felt something cold settle in my chest. The woman sitting with my granddaughter held herself differently. Catherine had always had perfect posture, a dancer's spine from years of ballet as a child. This woman slouched slightly, shoulders rolled forward. "Emma, honey," I called down. "Can you come up here and help Grandma with something?" Emma bounded up the stairs, her 7-year-old energy making the steps creak. "What is it, Grandma?" I kept my voice light, casual. "I need your help sorting these towels by color. Your young eyes are better than mine." As we folded together, I asked quietly, "How's homework going with Mom?" Emma's small hands stilled on a washcloth. She glanced at me, then away. "It's okay." "Just okay?" She bit her lip, a habit she had when something bothered her. "Grandma, does Mom seem different to you?" My heart started pounding. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" She forgot. Emma's voice was small. She forgot that we always do high fives after finishing math problems. We've done it since I was in kindergarten. But tonight when I put my hand up, she just looked at me funny, and she called me Emma instead of Emmy Bear. She always calls me Emmy Bear. I pulled my granddaughter close, my mind racing. "Maybe Mom's just tired, honey." But Emma shook her head against my shoulder. "And she smells different. Mom always smells like her lavender lotion, but this Mom smells like regular soap." Children notice things adults miss. They haven't learned to ignore their instincts yet. I heard Michael's voice in my head, in the exact same place. "Emma, I want you to stay up here with me for a bit, okay? We'll have some special Grandma Emma time." "Okay." She seemed relieved not to go back downstairs. I texted Michael. "What hospital?" "Providence Memorial. ER. "Mom, what's going on?" "Not sure yet. Keep that patient there. Don't let her leave. I'll explain soon." My hands were shaking as I typed. 35 years as a nurse taught me to trust evidence over emotion, facts over feelings. But right now, every fact was pointing to something impossible. I called my younger son, David, who worked in tech. "I need you to do something without asking questions." "Mom, what's wrong? You sound upset." "Please, I need you to check Catherine's location on her phone. Can you do that? I mean, that's kind of invasive." "David, please." He must have heard something in my voice. Okay. Hold on. I heard keyboard clicking. She's at your house. The GPS shows her phone is right there." "Thanks, honey." But that only told me where her phone was, not where she was. I went back to the stairs. The woman who looked like Catherine was standing now, stretching. "Emma, time for your bath, sweetheart." "She's up here with me?" I called down. "We're having some quality time." A brief pause. Then, "Oh, okay." Was it my imagination, or did she sound relieved? I thought about Catherine. Real Catherine. My daughter-in-law for 10 years, the woman who'd nursed my son through his medical residency, who'd given me my precious granddaughter, who never forgot to call me on Sundays just to chat. Catherine had a habit of touching her grandmother's ring whenever she was nervous, turning it around and around her finger. Her grandmother had given it to her before she died, a simple gold band with a tiny emerald. I went back down the stairs, Emma's hand in mine. "Catherine, honey, could you help me reach something in the kitchen?" She followed me, and I made a show of needing help with a high cabinet. As she reached up, I glanced at her hands. "Na ring." Catherine never took off that ring. Never. She wore it in the shower, to bed, everywhere. "Where's your grandmother's ring?" I asked casually. She glanced at her bare finger. "Oh, I took it off to wash dishes earlier, must have left it by the sink." I walked to the sink. No ring. Must have put it somewhere else." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Catherine would never forget where she'd put that ring. She'd tear the house apart looking for it. I watched her move around the kitchen and noticed more. The way she opened the refrigerator with her left hand when Catherine was right-handed. The way she poured water into a glass without checking the temperature first. Catherine always ran the tap until it was cold, a quirky habit from growing up in a house with old pipes. "Are you hungry?" I asked. "I could heat up some of that seafood pasta from yesterday." "Oh yes, that sounds great." My blood turned to ice. Catherine was deathly allergic to shellfish. It had been in that pasta. Real Catherine would have reminded me, would have asked for something else. She carried an EpiPen everywhere because even a small amount could send her into anaphylactic shock. This woman had just agreed to eat something that could kill my daughter-in-law. I made an excuse about the pasta being gone, my mind racing. I needed to get Emma out of this house, away from whoever this woman was. But I needed to be smart about it, careful. "You know what," I said, keeping my voice light. "I just remembered I promised Emma we'd have a sleepover in my guest room tonight. Girls' night, right, Emma?" Emma, bless her perceptive little heart, caught on immediately. "Yes. Can we, Mom?" The woman who wasn't Catherine smiled. "Of course, sweetheart. Have fun." A real mother would have wanted to kiss her daughter goodnight, would have come upstairs to tuck her in. This woman looked relieved to have Emma out of the way. Once upstairs with Emma secured in the guest room with her tablet and headphones, I called Michael back. "I need you to ask that patient something. Ask her about a ring, a gold ring with an emerald." "Mom, what's—" "Just ask her, and ask her about shellfish." He was gone for a few minutes. When he came back, his voice was shaken. She started crying when I mentioned the ring, said someone stole it from her. And she told me about the shellfish allergy. Without me even finishing the question, pulled out an EpiPen from her purse. "Mom, she knew about Emma's high-five tradition. She knew that you call every Sunday at 2 p.m. She knew," his voice cracked. "She knew the name of our childhood dog that died when I was 12. Nobody would know that. Because she's your wife, Michael. That patient is Catherine. Then who the hell is in your house?" I looked toward the stairs, where I could hear someone moving around below. "I think I know. But I need to be sure. Don't let Catherine leave that hospital. Keep her safe. I'll call you back." I spent the next hour on my laptop, digging through social media, old photos, public records. Catherine had mentioned once, years ago, that she'd been adopted as a baby. Her adoptive parents, the Hendersons, had passed away when she was in college. But adoption records. I called in a favor from an old friend who worked in county records. 20 minutes later, I had what I needed. Catherine Elizabeth Henderson, born Catherine Elizabeth Morrison, along with her twin sister, Caroline Grace Morrison. Given up for adoption separately when they were 3 days old due to their mother's drug addiction and inability to care for them, Catherine was adopted by the Hendersons. Caroline had bounced through the foster system, aged out at 18 with no family, no support system. I found Caroline's social media. The photos made my stomach turn. It was like looking at Catherine, but harder somehow. Same face. But where Catherine's smile reached her eyes, Caroline's looked painted on. Her recent posts were bitter, angry. Photos of expensive cars and houses with captions like, "Some people get everything handed to them." And then, 3 months ago, the posts stopped. 3 months ago, right after Michael's last birthday party, Catherine had posted photos from the party on Facebook, tagged her location, showed off her family, a public declaration of her happy life. Had Caroline seen it? Had she decided then that she wanted what her sister had? I heard footsteps on the stairs. Emma was asleep, thank God. I closed my laptop as the woman appeared in the doorway. "Everything okay?" she asked. "Fine." Emma's out like a light. I studied her face, looking for differences. There, a tiny mole on her neck that Catherine didn't have. The edge of a tattoo peeking out from under her collar that I'd never seen before. Long day? Yeah. She sat on the edge of the guest bed, and I saw her wince slightly. "You okay?" "Just a little sore. I think I pulled something at the gym." But Catherine had stopped going to the gym 6 months ago due to a knee injury. The same knee injury that would have left a scar. I made my decision. "Caroline." She froze. Her eyes met mine, and in that moment the mask slipped. The sweet, loving expression vanished, replaced by something cold and calculating. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Yes, you do." I kept my voice steady, firm. The voice I'd used with difficult patients in the ER, people who were scared and dangerous. "I know who you are, and I know what you've done." She stood up slowly. "You can't prove anything." "I don't need to prove anything to you. The police will handle that." I held up my phone, showing the 911 dial screen. "My son is an ER doctor. He has your sister at the hospital right now." The real Catherine. And before you think about running, I should tell you that my younger son is a cybersecurity expert who's been tracking your digital footprint for the last hour. We know about the fake ID, the stolen credit card, the storage unit you rented in Catherine's name. That last part was a bluff, but I saw it land. Her face went white. "You don't understand." Her voice changed, becoming harder, more raw. "She got everything. Everything. Rich parents, good schools, a husband who loves her, a beautiful kid. What did I get? Foster homes where people only wanted the check. Schools where nobody cared if I showed up. I worked 3 jobs just to afford a studio apartment while she was posting pictures of her perfect life. So you decided to take it. Why not?" Anger flashed in her eyes. "We're identical. We have the same DNA. Why should she get everything just because some family picked her instead of me? It's not fair." "Life isn't fair, Caroline. But this is kidnapping, identity theft. What did you do with Catherine? Where is she?" For a moment, I thought she might tell me. Her face crumpled, and she looked younger, more vulnerable. But then she grabbed her purse from the chair. "I need to go. You're not leaving this house. You can't stop me." "Actually, I can." I moved to stand in front of the door. I'm a retired ER nurse. I've handled violent patients twice your size, and right now the police are on their way. My son called them the moment you walked upstairs. It was true. I'd texted Michael a code word we'd established years ago, a family emergency signal. Caroline looked toward the window, then back at me. I could see her mind working, calculating odds. "You really want to add assaulting a senior citizen to your charges?" I asked. "Because that's what it'll be if you try to go through me." Her shoulders sagged. "I just wanted a chance. One chance to see what it felt like. By drugging your sister? By stealing her life? By lying to her daughter?" I didn't hurt her. The words came out defensive, childlike. "I gave her sleeping pills, that's all. She's in a motel room about 20 miles from here. I was going to let her go, I swear. I just wanted a few days, just to see what it felt like to be her." Sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. "A few days?" I felt anger rise in my chest. "You traumatized a 7-year-old child who knew something was wrong with her mother. You made my son question his own sanity. You violated every trust and boundary imaginable. For what? To play pretend? You don't get it." Tears streamed down her face now. "Nobody gets it. Do you know what it's like to see someone who has your exact face living the life you should have had? To know that the only difference between you and them is luck? Random chance? I do understand. My voice softened despite myself. I understand that you were dealt a terrible hand, that you suffered in ways no child should suffer. But that doesn't give you the right to destroy someone else's life. Catherine didn't choose to be adopted any more than you chose the foster system. She's not your enemy, Caroline. She never was. The police arrived then, 3 cars pulling up outside. I heard Emma stirring in the bedroom, confused by the noise. I went to her, gathering her in my arms, shielding her from the sight of the woman who looked like her mother being led away in handcuffs. Michael arrived 20 minutes later, Catherine in his car. She ran into the house, crying, and Emma flew down the stairs into her arms. Mommy. Real mommy. I'm here, baby. I'm here. I watched them hold each other, Michael's arms wrapped around both of them, and felt something in my chest unclench. Truth. That was what my late husband always said. The truth will set you free, Hazel. It might hurt first, but it'll set you free. Catherine looked up at me over Emma's head. Thank you. Michael told me what you did. How you figured it out. Thank you for teaching Emma to trust her instincts. She knew something was wrong. Children always know. Later, after the police statements and the chaos had settled, after Emma had finally fallen asleep in her own bed with both parents nearby, Catherine and I sat in the kitchen over tea. I need to tell you something, she said quietly. I knew I was a twin. My parents told me when I was 16. They tried to find Caroline, to see if she'd want to meet me, but she'd aged out of the system, and they lost track of her. I always wondered about her, always felt like something was missing. Did you try to find her? When I turned 25, I hired a private investigator. Found out she'd had a rough life. I sent a letter through her last known address, gave her my contact information. Told her I'd love to meet her, that I wanted to know my sister. She wiped tears from her eyes. She never responded. I thought maybe she didn't want anything to do with me. I never imagined that she'd do this. Catherine nodded. I woke up in that motel room so confused. The last thing I remembered was having coffee with a woman at the park. She said she was doing a survey for the city. The next thing I knew, I was tied up in a strange room with the worst headache of my life. It took me 2 days to get free. My phone was gone, my wallet, everything. I walked to the hospital because it was the closest place I knew. She looked at me. If Michael hadn't been working that night, but he was. And you're home now. What's going to happen to her? To Caroline? I thought about the woman who had my daughter-in-law's face but not her heart. That's up to the courts. But whatever happens, it's not your burden to carry. Catherine was quiet for a long moment. I feel sorry for her. Is that crazy? After what she did, I still feel sorry for her. That's because you have a kind heart. Don't ever apologize for that. Will you tell me about her? The detective said you found her records, her history. So I did. I told her about the foster homes, the struggles, the pain that had twisted Caroline into someone who thought stealing was the only way to get what she wanted. And Catherine cried, not for herself, but for the sister she'd never gotten to know. I would have shared my life with her, she whispered. If she'd just asked. If she'd just told me who she was. I would have been her family. I know you would have, sweetheart, but she couldn't see that. She was too consumed by anger and envy to see the love that was waiting for her. 3 months later, I visited Caroline in the county jail. She'd been charged with kidnapping, identity theft, and assault. She was awaiting trial. She looked different without the pretense, harder, more real. Her hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, no makeup, wearing an orange jumpsuit that made her skin look sallow. "Why are you here?" she asked, suspicious. "Because someone needs to tell you the truth." I sat across from her in the visitation room, my hands folded on the table. You had a choice, Caroline. Every day of your life, you had a choice. Yes, you were dealt a difficult hand. Yes, you suffered. But you chose to let that suffering turn you bitter instead of better. You chose to see your sister as an enemy instead of reaching out to her as family. She sent you a letter, you know, years ago, asking to meet you. Caroline looked away. I know. You know? You got it? I threw it away. Her voice was flat. I didn't want her pity. It wasn't pity. It was love. She wanted to know you. She would have shared everything with you. But you were so convinced the world owed you something that you couldn't see the blessing being offered. Easy for you to say. You don't know what it's like. You're right. I don't know what you went through. But I do know this. You're not the only person in the world who had a hard childhood. You're not the only one who struggled. The difference is, some people choose to break the cycle. They choose to be better than what was done to them. You chose revenge instead. She was crying now, silent tears tracking down her face. I just wanted to feel like I mattered, like I was worth something. You did matter, Caroline. You always mattered. But worth isn't something you can steal from someone else. It's something you build in yourself, through your choices, through your actions. And the tragedy is, you had every opportunity to build a real relationship with your sister, to have the family you wanted, but you threw it away for a fantasy. I stood to leave. Mrs. Brooks? Her voice was small, broken. Yes? Tell her I'm sorry. Tell Catherine I'm sorry. You need to tell her yourself. And you need to mean it. Not because you want something from her, but because it's the right thing to do. I left her there, hoping that maybe, someday, she'd understand. Catherine sent letters to Caroline every week after that. She never got responses, but she kept writing. She told her about Emma's school plays, about Michael's promotion, about the garden she was planting. Simple things, family things. Why do you keep writing when she doesn't write back? I asked her once. Because she's my sister, Catherine said simply. And because I know what it's like to feel alone, I won't let her feel that way, even if she thinks she wants to. That's the difference, I realized. That's what Caroline couldn't see. Real love isn't about getting, it's about giving, even when you receive nothing in return. Emma asked questions, of course. How do you explain to a 7-year-old that her mother has an identical twin who tried to steal her life? Catherine sat with her one Sunday afternoon, both of them curled up on the couch. Remember how you knew something was wrong? She asked Emma. Even though that lady looked just like me? Yeah. She didn't feel like you. That's because she wasn't me. She was someone who looked like me but didn't have the same heart, the same love. Do you understand? Like in that movie where the robot looks like a person but isn't really? Sort of like that. Except she is a real person. She's just a person who made very bad choices. Is she going to jail? Yes, honey, she is. Good. Emma's voice was fierce. She scared me. I know, and I'm so proud of you for trusting your feelings. For knowing something was wrong. That's so important, Emma. Always trust your feelings about people. I watched them together, mother and daughter, and felt grateful. Grateful that Emma had learned to trust her instincts. Grateful that the truth had won. Grateful that love had proven stronger than deception. My husband used to say that trials come to test us, to show us what we're made of. This trial had shown me that my family was made of strong stuff. Michael's instincts as a doctor, Emma's innocent wisdom, Catherine's forgiving heart. Even David's tech skills had played a role in unraveling the truth. And me? I'd been tested too. Tested to see if I would trust my eyes or my heart, if I would accept the easy answer or dig for the truth. I thought about Caroline sometimes, about the road not taken. What if she'd responded to that letter all those years ago? What if she'd chosen to reach out instead of reaching in to steal? What if she'd trusted that there was enough love to go around? But those were questions without answers. All I knew was that my family was safe, together, and stronger for what we'd been through. Emma ran into my kitchen one Sunday afternoon, 3 months after everything had happened. "Grandma, look what I made." She held up a drawing. It showed a family. Stick figures of Michael, Catherine, Emma, and me, and off to the side, separate but included, was another figure. "Who's that?" I asked, though I thought I knew. "That's Aunt Caroline. Mom says she's part of our family even though she made bad choices. Mom says everyone deserves to be remembered as more than their worst mistake." I pulled my granddaughter close, my heart full. "Your mom is a very wise woman." "I know." Emma smiled up at me. That's why I could tell when it wasn't really her. Out of the mouths of babes. The truth had set us free, just like my husband always said it would. It had hurt first, yes. It had been scary and confusing and had tested every bond we thought we understood. But in the end, it had made us stronger. It had shown us what really mattered. Not the face someone wore, but the heart they carried. And as I looked at Emma's drawing, at the family she'd so carefully included Caroline, and despite everything, I understood something profound. We choose our family not just by who we welcome, but by who we refuse to give up on. Catherine was still writing those weekly letters. Caroline still wasn't responding. But somewhere in that jail cell, I had to believe those letters mattered. That one day, Caroline might open her eyes and see what had been offered all along. Not pity, but family. Not judgment, but grace. And maybe, just maybe, she'd finally understand that worth isn't something you take, it's something you accept. And it's been there all along, waiting for you to believe you deserve it. The wind chimed outside, gentle and peaceful. Emma hummed as she colored, adding more details to her drawing. Michael and Catherine were in the backyard, working on the garden together. Everything was as it should be. And I said a quiet prayer for Caroline, wherever she was. A prayer that one day, she'd find what she'd been looking for all along. Not someone else's life, but peace with her own. Because in the end, that's the only thing any of us can do. Not live someone else's story, but write our own, and make it one worth telling.